The winner of Tusker Project Fame Season 5 is Ruth.
In Kenya's entertainment and gospel industry, few stories are as inspiring yet as heartbreaking as that of Ruth Matete. She was once hailed as the next big thing in music, a shining star who emerged from Tusker Project Fame as the voice of a generation. Her talent, her passion, and her raw vocal power made her a household name.
Lonely nights, lonely days, I had a
But today, her journey is remembered with sadness, controversy, and what many call one of the biggest fall from grace in Kenyan entertainment history. Ruth Matete was born and raised in Nairobi. Growing up under difficult circumstances, her father, Abel Amunga, a well-known actor, raised her as a single parent after a turbulent family background. She often spoke about how her father's strict upbringing shaped her resilience. Life was never easy, but Ruth held on to her dream of singing. From church choirs to small performances, her voice was her escape, her gift and her path to something greater.
I'm the only child raised by a father, single father, and I grew up in church. I grew up being told the church was important, and not just church but God, you know. And later on, after I finished my fourth form, I gave my life to Christ.
In 2012, Ruth Matete auditioned for the iconic reality singing competition Tusker Project Fame. At that time, the show was the biggest platform for musical talent in East Africa. Contestants from across the region competed for fame, money, and the promise of a music career. When Ruth walked into the academy, no one knew she was about to make history. Her deep, soulful voice stood out instantly. She wasn't just another singer, she was a powerhouse. Week after week, Ruth blew away judges, mentors, and audiences. She sang with conviction, performing both Kenyan classics and international hits with the same passion. Her confidence grew, her fan base exploded, and she became a front runner. Kenyans rallied behind her, voting in huge numbers. Her story resonated with many young women. Here was a girl from a modest background standing tall on one of the biggest stages in Africa.
I heard that you settled down and you found a girl and you married now. I heard that your dreams came true. Guess she gave you things.
In December 2012, Ruth Matete was crowned the winner of Tusker Project Fame Season 5. The announcement sent shockwaves across Kenya. She not only walked away with the grand prize of Kenya shillings 5 million and a recording contract, but also the title of Kenya's first female Tusker Project Fame winner. For a country that loved music competition, this was historic. Ruth was on top of the world, and Kenyans had high hopes for her. But success, as many soon learned, is not guaranteed. Winning Tusker Project Fame came with money and fame, but not necessarily with structure. Like many winners before her, Ruth struggled with management issues. The recording contract failed to produce the kind of music hit expected. Allegations of mismanagement, poor investment choices, and lack of industry guidance haunted her early career. The glory of victory began to fade into frustration. Ruth, who had always been outspoken about her Christian faith, pivoted into gospel music. She joined the vibrant but competitive gospel industry, releasing singles and performing in churches. Her voice was unmatched. But the industry was already flooded with established names like Daddy, Eunice, Mercy Masika, Saizate, and Gloria Muliro. Breaking through proved difficult. Ruth had talent, but without a hit song, she couldn't sustain the same momentum she had built during Tusker Project Fame. As time went by, Ruth's struggles became more visible. Media reports revealed that she had financial challenges, with her prize money from Tusker Project Fame quickly running out. She admitted in interviews that she had made mistakes with the investment and trusted the wrong people. For someone who was once a millionaire at 27, the reality of financial instability was a harsh fall. The pressure to maintain her image as a gospel star weighed heavily on her. In the late 2010s, Ruth shifted her focus again, this time into ministry. She trained as a pastor and began serving at the Redeemed Gospel Church. Many saw this as a natural step. Given her faith background, she even became a worship leader and a preacher, building a small but loyal following. For a moment, it seemed like Ruth had found peace and a new calling, but fate had other plans. In the year 2019, Ruth found love in the arms of John Apewoje, a Nigerian gospel musician also known as Beloved John. The two had a whirlwind romance and tied the knot in 2020. Before Ruth Matete wedded her husband, there were reactions across Kenya and Nigeria as well. Here are some of the comments that people were talking about. I wish you all the best. Getting married to someone's husband who abandoned family here in Nigeria, claiming she is this and that. Well, remember that what goes around comes around. God is not sleeping. We will let the sleeping dog lie and watch the drama to the end. Ruth shared her happiness openly on social media, finally enjoying what she called answered prayers. She was ready to start a new chapter, marriage, family, and ministry. But within months, that dream turned into a nightmare. In April, the year 2020, news broke that Ruth Matete's husband had suffered severe burns after a domestic gas cylinder accident at their home. He was rushed to the hospital, but his condition worsened. A few weeks later, John Apewoje died from the injuries. The tragedy shocked the nation. Ruth, who was heavily pregnant at the time, was left widowed and broken. The fairy tale had turned into a horror story. Following the gas accident that happened on Ruth Matete's house, Ruth Matete posted on social media and said, "On Monday, we had an incident at the house that has led my husband being in the ICU since Monday. Allow me to explain. We had bought gas, and when we lit it, it was not lighting well. We thought it was overfilled. So normally, my husband will just take it out and release some of the gas. So he did the same, only that this time, he did it at the balcony. Unfortunately, we had clothes hanging on the clothesline and other stuff in the balcony. Because of this, the gas did not go out when he released it. It was on the clothes and some stuff at the balcony. He immediately wanted to check if the gas is now working and went ahead to light it. The rest is history as the fire exploded. I was in the living room. I saw my husband on fire literally in the living room where he ran shouting, 'Baby, help me.' That's when I called for help from neighbors and others who had seen the fire were already at the door. They helped me take him to Shalom Hospital nearby, where he got first aid, then later got an ambulance that took him to Bellevue Hospital in South Sea, where he was put in the ICU/HDU for 3 days. Luckily, the burn is not deep to the second layer of the skin, but it is big. He did not inhale it, so he is safe and out of danger," she posted. What followed was even darker. After her husband's death, rumors and accusations began flying. Some alleged foul play. Others pointed fingers at Ruth with whispers that her marriage had been troubled. The Nigerian High Commission even pushed for investigation, delaying her husband's burial. Ruth found herself not only grieving but also defending her name against a storm of public suspicion. The media frenzy was relentless.
The Nigerian government has asked the DCI to hold the body of the late John Apewoje, husband to musician Ruth Matete, until they give consent for the burial. This comes after the autopsy results indicated that the deceased died due to complications brought about by the extent of his burns, which was 60% degrees. This in turn led to lack of sufficient body minerals, which further affected other organs in his body.
Kenyans, divided as always, debated her story on social media. Some sympathized with her pain, while others condemned her without evidence. Trolls mocked her, while others ran sensational headlines. For a grieving widow, the public scrutiny was brutal. Ruth later confessed that the experience left her traumatized and depressed. Her once bright image as a gospel star was now clouded with controversy. In the middle of her grief, Ruth gave birth to a baby girl, her only child. She named her Tolua, meaning belongs to God. Becoming a mother gave Ruth strength, but it also meant facing the challenge of raising a child alone while her reputation was in tatters. For the first time, Ruth retreated from the limelight, choosing to focus on her daughter and her healing journey. After 2021, Ruth shifted almost completely into ministry, preaching in small church services and occasionally sharing motivational messages online. Her music career was all but abandoned. She released no major hit singles, and her presence in the gospel music charts disappeared. The girl who once held a nation spellbound with her voice was now a shadow of her former self, struggling to build quietly.
First of all, I just want to say a very big thank you to Bishop Allen and Reverend Kathy Kuna for this opportunity just to be a blessing to God and to you people. So as we sing, I pray that you will be blessed. Thank you.
After 2021, Ruth shifted almost completely into ministry, preaching in small church services and occasionally sharing motivational messages online. Her music career was all but abandoned. She released no major hit singles, and her presence in the gospel music charts disappeared. The girl who once held the nation spellbound with her voice was now a shadow of her former self. Looking back, Ruth Matete's story is one of talent, triumph, tragedy, and survival. She rose from obscurity to become a Tusker Project Fame champion, but poor management and lack of industry support stalled her career. Struggling to rebuild quietly, she tried to reinvent herself as a gospel singer and pastor, only to face unimaginable personal loss. Today, her name is no longer celebrated in the same breath as other Tusker Project Fame alumni. She tried to reinvent herself as a gospel singer and pastor, only to face unimaginable personal loss. Today, her name is no longer celebrated in the same breath as other Tusker Project Fame alumni like Ngangalito or Amos and Josh. Instead, it is remembered with bittersweet tone, a star who had it all but lost it too soon. Ruth's journey teaches us many things: the danger of poor management in Kenya's entertainment industry, the cruelty of public opinion during personal tragedy, and the reality that talent alone is not enough to guarantee success. But perhaps the biggest lesson is resilience. Despite everything, Ruth continues to serve in ministry and raise her daughter, refusing to be completely silenced by life blows. So, where is Ruth Matete today? She lives quietly, far from the limelight, focused on raising her child and continuing her pastoral calling. The music industry may have forgotten her, but her story remains etched in Kenya's memory. From the heights of fame to the depth of loss, Ruth Matete's journey is a cautionary tale about the fragility of success, the brutality of fame, and the strength it takes to rise after a fall. This was the rise and fall of Ruth Matete, a voice that once promised greatness, a story that inspired millions, and a tragedy that changed everything. She may no longer be the star on the stage, but her story remains one of the most unforgettable in Kenya's entertainment industry.